Salam, Phoenix Ramadan L. Jackson back in the light, welcoming you back in the light of our Brazeera Cyber Network. This has been written in 2 days, so I pray that we're going to have some, that this conversation is, easily relatable. Okay? So, as I said, the universal law is to be banned by democracy. It is the martial lever lumen that the plutocratic lawman democracy is to, he is the one who brought, that is to be replaced. Natural law, natural order, okay? The kind of, it is kind of like what happened in Iraq. The lumen or lawman, Iraqi-born chief police, he was sent to the UN, okay, to work at the United Nations, okay? And the lawman, James Steele, okay, he was sent in, okay, or democracy, okay, was sent in at the helm of James Steele, to be implemented by James Steele, to a new Iraqi general who was, of course, who was more sensitive to democracy, the rule of democracy. Okay. So he was the one that was to take over. Okay, and in charge of all civil disobedience. This lumen or this lawman, James Steele, okay, who was to implement democracy in Iraq. He was placed in charge of all, hypothetically, he was placed in charge of all civil disobedience, of all those, of anything that was that was to be a civil disobedience to the rule of law of democracy. He was to ensure that democracy would survive, okay? Acting on behalf of democracy, though he was acting on behalf of democracy. He may not have been a lawman, definitely, but he was acting on behalf of democracy, okay, to enforce democracy. James Steele was to ensure the survival of the plutocratic lawman, as I said, democracy, by reinforcing its holier-than-thou, unholy power and authority through any means necessary, including depleted uranium and torture. Okay? He was to... this was the means by which democracy was ensured, okay? And James Steele was a representative of democracy, and democracy itself was the means by which, right, depleted uranium and torture was to be implemented on the humane population simply seeking to follow law around the celestial fields as compelled by their belief in natural law. Okay? Now, so they were to exercise, the democracy was exercising its plutonium divine right. Okay? The armed force behind using such democratic force is to prevent those in the Holy Land from turning to natural lumen, using natural light for all, solving all their universal, for solving all their, for implementing their rules of governance. Universal law is considered Sharia law, or Sharia lumen. Exclusive throughout spirituality, although it's not exclusive in Islam. Okay, it is found, as I said, in all spiritualities. From the 10 Commandments, Sharia law is basically the same as the 10 Commandments. It is universal, woman. Okay. It is found in the Bible as it relates to adultery, alcohol, fasting, prayer, education, death, finances, inheritance, marriage, business, war, making peace treaties, and all of which do not include depleted uranium or torture. Everything, as is in Sharia law, is set with standards, by standards, okay? Or with limitation, it has boundaries. For instance, for adultery, it's 100 whippings, right? For adultery of a woman who's been married before, then that's stoning to death, because it's like she should know better, okay? And while the Sharia may cut off limbs, and it's beheading for someone who rapes someone else, right? And so the cutting off hands for a thief, and on opposite sides at times for other, let's say, lawbreakers, then you would see a society with that has a number of its inhabitants under Sharia law. You'd find a number of its inhabitants with no hands or no feet or no foot, right? If the Sharia law was that threatening, but you don't find that, and you don't find depleted uranium. Sharia law does not destroy the land, or it doesn't impose rules on inhabitants that are not Islam. Sharia law is only imposable upon Muslims themselves. Okay, not nations that have their constitution and all of that kind of stuff, because Islam is not about invading other nations and stripping them of their human rights and human dignity. This ISIS is a totally democratic organization established by Israel and Britain and America. Okay, once America does not if America does not give them arms, America does not support them with air support, they'll crumble. They will really crumble. Okay, but that is America and Blackwater, Triple Crown, Britain, Israeli insurgency that's going back there. That's like their mobile army that they use, and because they're brown skinned, right? Let's have them. Why not make them look like Arabs and yell "Yallah, Yallah, Yallah" or "Allah, Allah, Allah"? Anybody can do that, right? Yeah. So that's the conversation tonight. And as far, and you be the judge. You do your own research. And as I said, nuclear bombs are indiscriminate. They destroy the lives of women, children, men, land, bugs, air, water, food. It destroys totally indiscriminately. So don't speak on the human rights on. Don't use Sharia law, natural law, as it relates to biblical law, Quranic law, or universal law to promote their campaign of anti-Islam, anti-Judaism, and anti-Christian Christianity. Because in all three religions, adultery is wrong, alcohol is wrong, rape is wrong. But democracy, what? They do the gang raping women because what? It's in their religion, because it's written in the stars, right? The beheading of the female crown, right? That's why even on certain times of the year you will find that women are gang raped, right? It was the democracy turned a blind eye when those women of Bosnia were being gang raped and forced to have babies, right? There was no cry for civil rights and the cry because they were raping the women, as there are for so-called women are cutting off performing genital mutilation in Muslim countries, but they're not Muslim countries, they're Christian countries because it's Christian population. But when unfortunately soldiers go, America, democracy did all that nuclear uranium stuff and destroying many parts of the world in the East, right? They didn't say Christianity did that, right? But Muslims are what? When something happens in a country that's predominantly Muslim, it's got to be Muslim. It's got to be Islamist, right? Which is it's not a person at all, but a description, acronym, not even an acronym, but a slang for a belief system, right?
What?
But it was Christians that dropped the. If they're going that route, then you say it was Christians that did all that torture in Iraq. It was Christians that did the Vietnam War. It was Christians that did the Korean War, right? I would say that was a Christian war, but no, we've got to judge the Arabs by their religion, right? To malign Muslims, right? Islam, because it's not the Arabs they're after; it's the Islam, right? And if we said that all those nuclear uranium bombs and deformity that's being caused over there, right? We could say that was done by Christians, right? Okay, but if it was reported as if it was the war was observed, or democracy was observed from a religious perspective, right? Then you'd say Muslims were being persecuted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but they would like us to go there, and that's not the place to go. Those are not Christians in the polygarch. Okay, they are Babylonian, using the knowledge that Allah gave to Muslims, Christians, and Jews, okay, about how the universe is structured as it relates to the Meseroth, as it relates to the Magnum Opus, as it relates to the sun, as it travels from the east through the constellation to the Cancer, to what the Cancer, the second cardinal sign, to meet with the Polaris, right? Or the that constellation, and and maybe the North that constellation that marks the North Star, right? That female constellation. That's that knowledge. Okay. Is to be manipulated or only interpreted by the Babylonians because it has validity, right? It has validity because all of those markers would not be there, okay, and then as then after going through that vortex, there's exaltation, right? And that's why they call it the summertime. And Leo, right? The lion, because now it becomes strong, right? The sun is strong in Leo. That's its house, right? So all of that has meaning as it relates to, right, the seasons, right? Teaches how to grow our food. Okay, giving us direction, time of day. Okay, days of the week, right? Months, days, years. So we can keep track of time. It's our timekeeper up there. And they want to control time. They're controlling time. Our time, right? Because it all means something. But they doing it from their Babylonian perspective for control and manipulation, right? All right. So I hope that was helpful. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for showing up. Assalamu alaikum. Happy Scorpion new moon and great eclipse and today was an eclipse, and I know that's not the greatest thing, because if I remember in Islam during the eclipse of prophet, see, we're still talking about the celestial sphere because it does have relevance, but that's natural law, natural timekeeping, natural order, to be in order with, to be in harmony with the universe, not against the universe in regards to using nuclear power to control mankind on Earth, okay, and creating disharmony and disunity and fragmenting mankind, his world and life in general, right? Following the natural order, as I said, the sun going through as the sun is on the elliptical and it goes through the constellations, okay? And certain seasons occur, certain events occur as it relates to timing for planting and you know, the 4 seasons and special events, okay, and commemoration of those times, okay. So that's our big timekeeper up there, and they're trying to control our time, okay, how we live our life in our time, and using democracy and depleted uranium to do that. So they're Babylonians. The humans are not. They think they're Titans. The humans are not. Their humans are supposed to be subjugated to the gods, right? They're the gods, right? On earth, landlords. Okay? But, as I said, I claim, mashallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, my divine right. Okay? Ashadu la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Kulata Rabbil Nas, Maliki Nas, Ilahi Nas, Min Shari Weswesikan Nas, Aladi, Weswesiki Suduri Nas, Min Jannati One Nas. And that's so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect me from those beings that think they're gods. Okay? Alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I claim my own human divinity, and my divinity comes from my having been created from the one divine creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And my power comes from him, and my power is to be used for him. MashaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah. And I say to those who are sitting on his throne, get down off his throne. It is not yours. You are in the wrong place. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will send his creation against you who are imposters on that, trying to take over, control his humanity. And I pray he will send his creation against you. Get down from his throne. Get down from his throne, Big Romeo, whatever his name is, Francis. Get down, Abomination. Barry Sotero. Get down, Lavon Robinson. Get down. Get down, Izzy. Kizzy in England. Elizabeth, get down. Okay? And who else? So they got 4 of them. The Abomination, they got Izzy, and the Pope, that's 3. Yeah, 3 heads. Get down off his throne. I claim power over his martial law, and get down, because that's what they want to claim, martial law. They're not marshals. They can't claim martial law. They have no power to claim martial law. The force of the universe won't go with them because they're not martial. And get down, because there's a new marshal in town, and it ain't you. Okay? Get down off his throne. Okay? Okay. So, I enjoyed this video. I really did. I truly did. And Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Happy New Moon. Assalamu alaikum. Get off his throne, Antichrist.